NBA game.
Hey everyone, I have a new package today. I know what it is. I'm really excited about it, so I'm just going to cut to the chase and get in there. Here we go. NBA Jam Tournament Edition 32X, Sega 32X. So this one is in a hard shell. This is supposed to be complete in box. We'll take a look, but on the outside, the box looks pretty good. And I'm glad that it's a hard shell because those boxed cardboard ones, they just fall apart. So this is a good one. So anyway, let's look inside. Here's the instruction manual, really good shape. And the cartridge itself looks pretty good. Slight wear and tear, not really much though, but looks really good. Now this game came out in 1995. It actually was ported to a lot of different systems, the 32X obviously being one of them. But it was also ported to the Sega Mega Drive, the Game Gear, and Sega Saturn. So it's been over 20 years since this game came out, and I have never played it actually. So I'm excited to play it. So let's go put it in. So this is it. This is NBA Jam Tournament Edition for the Sega 32X. It is supposed to be awesome. It is supposed to be the best NBA game ever made, at least at the time it was supposed to be. And the question really was it? Was it the best game? Well, let's first and foremost tell you how much I paid for this, because I forgot to tell you. This one I paid $39.98, which seems like a lot. However, this is the only basketball game ever to be released on the 32X. And it is complete in box, so I was like, yeah, what the heck, let's do it. Now, what is the difference between this NBA Jam and any other NBA Jam that had been released? Well, this one has an updated player roster. Of course, they did that every year. And it still applies just like every other NBA Jam game. If you hit 3 shots in a row, you'll be on fire. Now, after the first, second, and third quarters, NBA Jam Tournament Edition will allow you to make player substitutions from your team roster. And this one also has injuries in it. They also added some new above-the-rim jams. And if you do want to play multiplayer, of course, you just get the Sega multi-tap and plug in and play each other. There's also a new ranking system from 0 to 9 with 8 different attributes like dunking and three-pointers and speed, etc., etc. There's hidden players and secret codes, which we all love, and that's kind of like one of the reasons we love NBA Jam, because you can put in a code and play as somebody who's not even a basketball player sometimes. And of course, it's tournament edition, so you can play in the tournament. You have practice mode. You have bigger players. They're scaled because it's 32X. It utilizes all of that fun graphical power. And above all, they have a new soundtrack for this. They actually created a new soundtrack for this one versus all of the other NBA Jam games. Now, this was actually released on a number of systems. It was released on the Super Nintendo, the Genesis, the Game Gear, PS1, and the Atari Jaguar. And the Super Nintendo one actually got a really good score on this when it came out. It got a really good review. It got 9 out of 10, in fact, while the Genesis version got a 7.6. And the PlayStation got a pretty decent score, but the Jaguar and the Game Gear lagged behind a little bit. Now, an interesting thing about this game, or a fun little fact about this game, is that if you play the computer and beat all 27 teams, you do get to play as an NBA Jam All-Star team. So there is something to work towards. So if you have this game or you want this game, definitely something you need to try. But that may prove harder than you think, because the computer's pretty hard to beat, as witnessed by what you're watching now. Now, for me, the controls are great. It's just like any other NBA Jam. You can switch them if you want in the options screen, but the default's usually pretty good. And it's always fun to play with the old teams that don't even exist anymore, like the Seattle Supersonics, as you see here, and I am losing with them still. But it's always fun to go back. I was a big fan of the NBA back in the 90s. I had a lot of players that I looked up to, and so for me, it's fun to go back and play those teams and play with those players. And that's it. That is NBA Jam Tournament Edition for the 32X. So there you have it, NBA Jam Tournament Edition 32X. It's a whole new game, as they say. It is okay. I have the game on Sega CD as well. To me, there really isn't a huge difference. And I know there are some things that they've updated and changed, but graphically, you know, I know it's got scaling and things like that, but nothing really that noticeable. But it does have 32 megs of slamma-jamma basketball. I don't know. So I think for me, the reason I got this game was because, A, it's nostalgic. I played it in the arcade back in the day. And it's got a lot of the basketball players that I loved back in the 90s, so it's fun to play them again. Now what makes this one unique is that it's the only basketball game on the system. There are no other basketball games on the 32X, so if you're gonna get one, well, this is it. The other thing I would say is that this is actually kind of difficult. I haven't won a game yet. Granted, I've only played one. Of course, with that being said, you should always play with somebody. It's totally fun when you're playing against somebody like a friend or a sibling. I used to beat my brother at this all the time. Anyway, there you go, NBA Jam Tournament Edition. I'm gonna go play this a little bit more, see if I can get my stats up, and see if I can't just win a game. So until I see you next time, this has been the Layman Video Gamer.